My name is Dave Morrow. I'm with DBI Beverage, and I work for our specialty brands division. What that means is half of my job is training and education on beer, what beer is, the history of beer, beer styles, how to pair beer with certain types of foods, those types of things. Originally I was a brewer at Sudwork in Davis 25 years ago. I did that for about 7 years. Then I went to run McCormick Beverage, which was a small boutique craft beer distributorship. Then for 4 years, I ran my own small beer distributing company, and now I've been with DBI Beverage for 7 years. The other part of my job is what we call brand procurement, and that is bringing in some of these new brands to us at DBI Sacramento, and I'm having a lot of fun doing that. So if there's anything that you need to know in addition to some of the training that we've done here, feel free to reach out to Ryan or Jimmy, and we'll just add pods to the training programs as needed. The 4 main ingredients in beer is water, barley malt, hops, and yeast. So when recommending a beer to someone, if they're not really enthusiastic about or knowledgeable about different beer styles, I always start with a light lager, like a Dos Equis or a Tecate. It's not going to intrude on any of the food dishes that you bring out, it's simply going to complement. Once we get into the ales that have a little bit more spice character to them, that's when we need to know what dishes to recommend with different ales. Now the rest of these beers here are either ales or cider. The first ale I'm going to talk about is Blue Moon. Blue Moon is a Belgian-style wit beer. It has 50% wheat malt and 50% barley malt. It's a very dry, very light, very citrusy, very fruity beer that tends to pair very well with fish, chicken, citrus dishes, ceviche, things of that nature. It's still fairly light in alcohol, very drinkable, fantastic with a garnish served with an orange or a lemon or a lime on the sides. Okay, the next beer we're going to talk about here is the Drake's 1500. Drake's 1500 is a dry hopped pale ale, 5.5% alcohol by volume. Nice beer, it's got a lot of structure, but as opposed to some of the IPAs, it's quite a bit less alcohol, so its drinkability is a little bit better. We refer to these oftentimes as session IPAs, but technically speaking, it is a pale ale. The next beer we're going to talk about is Anderson Valley's Bunt Amber Ale. This is an American amber ale, so it's got a little bit more malt structure than the Drake's. The Drake's is going to tend to be a little bit more on the bitter side and a little bit more aromatic. And the Anderson Valley is a wonderful example of a fantastically made, balanced ale. So this has got a lot of hops in it, but it's also got a lot of malt structure to it, so it'll stand up to much more spicier dishes and heartier foods that tend to be rich. The next beer here, this is Bear Republic's Racer 5. We have this on draft in several locations. Bear Republic's Racer 5 is what we call a West Coast IPA. 7% alcohol, and they use a technique similar to the Drake's 1500 called dry hopping, where they're actually putting in prodigious amounts of Columbus hops into the fermentation vessel. When the fermentation is complete, that allows to bring out only the aromatic properties of the hops and none of the bittering. So this is where we get those wonderful aromatic West Coast style IPAs. Very similar beer, but from San Diego, California, is Sculpin IPA. Again, 7% alcohol, and like the Bear Republic's Racer 5, IPAs are fantastic with spicy foods. Hops and higher alcohol tend to cut the spiciness of spicy foods, and if you've got somebody that's ordering something very spicy, or you see them dumping a lot of Cholula sauce on something, I definitely would recommend a West Coast style IPA. Now, some folks are gluten intolerant, and that's where we come in with the cider. This cider here is local. It's from Colfax, California, and is made with fresh pressed apples. A lot of ciders use apple juice or apple concentrate, but at Crispin, we use fresh pressed apples, and it's a fantastic drink for those that are gluten intolerant.